live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today, NFL Week 11 picks, guarantees. I'm in my game day gear because the New England Patriots play tonight against the New York Jets. Plus, we got Week 12 college football. We have some picks on the card. We have some guarantees. I might have a little parlay I might be cooking up right now for this weekend that I like for college football, but we'll get there. Plus, we have a survivor pick. It's a tough card this week, but we found something. The question is it going to be what everybody likes for survivor? That's still in their pools, by the way. It's a tough card to pick this week. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to go over the college football card because there are some options this week. Very little, though. 4 games I picked, and then I have a couple plays, about 2 or 3. Really, 2 other guarantees I'm going to throw in there, too. So, let's start off with picking the games. Georgia and Texas, which is the night game. I started with that one first. Georgia is favored, I believe it's 6.5 at home. The over and under is listed, I think, at, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it's 46.5, 48.5. I'm trying to remember the exact number. But I like Georgia to win this game. I know that they dominated Mississippi State. And before all that, they were in a ton of close games. And I know Texas, Arch Manning's playing well. Sark's doing better. I told you guys from jump of last week's reaction to the rankings, which I'm going to wait till the end of the guarantees for college football and the picks. But I think Texas loses at least either this game with Georgia or home for A&M. It's one of these 2 games they lose. And I do think they're going to lose to Georgia because last year they were in Austin, Texas, and they lost with Quinn Ewers. Now, in Georgia, you think Athens is going to be fucking wild? Yes, they are. Okay, they're really looking good right now. All Georgia needs right now is Texas to lose. So basically this is somebody's out of the SEC championship game if they lose. Because Georgia's got 1 loss, Texas has 1 loss. Okay? Alabama's still got no losses, right? So right now it'd be Alabama and Texas A&M. But I'm saying if one of them were to lose, one of these 2 teams is right behind. So the loser's definitely out of SEC championship contention, while the other one is still in with the right situation and stuff like that as far as who loses and who wins, right? Neither of these teams are probably going to make the SEC championship game at the moment. But I like Georgia to win. I trust Gunnar Stockton and Kirby to win this game 30-17. I know Texas is a really good defense. This could be an under, but I think Georgia can score. And I saw what they did in Tennessee. I liked what I saw. They put up 21 against Bama. And I think they're going to be fine. I think they'll get to 30. Arch, I think, is going to struggle against this defense. Give me Georgia 30-17 on Texas. And yes, Georgia Bulldogs will beat the Texas Longhorns. Guarantee. That's 1. And we're saving that for something later. Alabama takes on Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa, where Alabama is favored against Oklahoma. I don't have the exact spread on my laptop at the moment. I guess I could set it up, see if I was right. But I believe it's got to be probably like definitely. It's got to be no higher than 6.5. Let's take a look actually. But I'm gonna get the Georgia one too because I want to see if I'm right on that too. I think I'll see Alabama first because it's a 3:30 game. But Yeah, I was going to guess 6.5. It's okay, so Alabama's favored by 6. Over and under is at 45.5. This one I know was lower, and then let me double check the Georgia-Texas line, which that's 7:30, and I'm waiting to see 6.5. Okay, 6.5 Georgia, and it was 40.5. All right, so the second one I was right. All right, so I got that out of the way. I know Alabama didn't look like Alabama against LSU. I know. But Oklahoma has a challenge scoring. Oh, I know, but they scored against Ole Miss, Rich. I get it. I'm going to say this, though. I don't trust that Oklahoma team. I don't. They beat Tennessee. I get it. A few weeks ago when I was a little iffy with them that week. I get it. I would love to see Alabama lose. Not this weekend because it's part of my parlay I'm cooking up. But I don't think Oklahoma can score. I still don't trust this team. I know Mateer was once upon a time Heisman candidate. Now he's probably faded out with the injury and him not playing well, especially against Texas. That might have knocked him out. But I like Alabama to win 31-14 on Oklahoma. I think Alabama will get back to what they are. Ty Simpson is still a top 5 candidate for Heisman. And I think that Bam Miller, they'll get going with the running game on them, although Oklahoma will make it tough. But between Ryan Williams, Bernard at receiver, I think Alabama just has too many options. I think they'll score against Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma's going to have a hard time pretty much staying in this game close. Alabama will beat Oklahoma this weekend as well. Guarantee. That's another one. It's 2. Those are 2 games I like this week. Notre Dame and Pitt. This is the early game. Now, this one, the over and under is listed at 55.5, and I can guarantee, well, I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm going to go back to the lines. And it should be one of the early ones. Notre Dame is favored by 12.5. Definitely not touching the spread, that's for sure. I do think this game's an over. I do. I think this is a big test for Notre Dame because the fact that the committee put a 2-loss Miami team as high as 15 in the actual CFP rankings, but they're 11th because they're the ACC representative. Although, I'm going to be honest, how in the hell can Miami win the ACC if they're like the 6th best team based on conference win-loss record? I'm going to say that for when I talk about the rankings because that's the only gripe I've got with them as far as the rankings, okay? Makes no sense. However, back to this game. This game, I love the over in this game. This is the other angle of my parlay that I like. I love the over in this game. I think both Notre Dame and Pitt score. CJ Carr's been playing a lot better since the first 2 weeks of the season for Notre Dame. Pitt, they could score. They got a freshman quarterback that looks really, really good. Now, Notre Dame does give up a lot of points, although they did kind of handle USC pretty good. And then again, they've kind of got the defense going a little bit better, but I do trust Pitt to score some points. Give me the over in this game. I like the over 55.5. I'm going with Notre Dame 34, Pitt 30. That is the high-scoring game to start the weekend. I like the over. So over 55.5, Notre Dame Pitt. I love it, and I'm taking Notre Dame to win. Iowa and USC. In USC. Now this, I told you guys before with Iowa, we nailed this before, but USC is favored by 7. The over and under is listed at 48.5 points. Lean the under. I'm leaning the under. I know you guys are like, Rich, how do you bet unders? You got to know your teams to bet unders with, okay? That's 1. 2, we are 2 for 2 when picking Iowa plus points. Last week we did it with Oregon. They covered. The other time we did it, Indiana. It was one of my favorite fucking bets of probably one of my favorite picks of the year. And that was before Indiana was like blowing teams out. Okay, it was starting when they destroyed Illinois, and I said, hold on a minute. Take Iowa with the points against Indiana. That's one of my favorite picks of the year, I'm going to say. USC, I know they're in USC. Lincoln Riley's going to struggle with this Iowa defense. They're going to struggle. The question is, can Iowa score enough to make it within 7? I think they can, because Oregon, USC's got a tough gauntlet. Iowa and Oregon, they got the next week, right? They got to play Iowa this Saturday, and they got to go to Oregon next week. That's a tough stretch, man, okay? So you got those two teams. And then obviously you got the rivalry with UCLA and stuff. And that's going to be another game where it's like, you know, you can't sleep on your rival. You just can't, okay? But USC has to win both of these games to have a remote shot of maybe, like, making it plus chaos within the top 12 to 15, which I said last week also. If you remember, anybody from 13 down, you're in a great spot, because the top 12, there will be chaos. The question is, who is likely to fall in that chaos when it happens? Well, this week, Oklahoma and Texas, you're out. So anybody down below, you got a shot. So USC, all you have to do is take care of business against Iowa. However, Iowa botched against Oregon. Tough game, though. How they let Dante Moore go right down the field, I don't know, but it was a great win by Oregon, though. But Lincoln Riley struggles with these good defenses. And even if Iowa doesn't win, I still like them to cover the 7. I do. Because Illinois, not that they're the defense Iowa is, Illinois was pretty good, and yet Illinois hung 30-plus on them. USC also scored about 30. Can Iowa get to 23? I think so. USC will definitely put 20 up, I think. But I'm going to take the upset, because everybody says I don't take upsets on the show. And we have upsets for the NFL card, all right? I like Iowa to win by a field goal over USC. I wouldn't be shocked if it's the other way. But I'm going to take an upset. I'm going to take Iowa to beat USC in USC. Give me 23-20 Iowa. And I'm going back to the well that feeds me money. Iowa getting the 7 on the road. I'm taking a ballsy pick here. That's right. I said it. Give me Iowa plus 7. We're going to go 3 for 3 with this team. You find your spots. This is one of my spots. Give me Iowa plus a 7 against USC. Now, the other guarantee I like, and this is an ACC matchup. Virginia travels to Duke, all right? And the ACC is absolutely wild. I thought it was an early game with Duke. I'm looking for the spread now for you guys. It actually doesn't involve the spread this play, but I like the game. Oh, 3:30, okay. So, Duke's favored by 4. Over and under is 58.5. However, I'm not picking the game. Or so you thought. The Duke Blue Devils will upset the Virginia Cavaliers, and they're going to beat them straight up. Home favorite, Duke Blue Devils will beat Virginia and completely knock them out of the ACC championship game. Guaranteed. Duke Blue Devils beat Virginia. And that's the other game that I like straight up. And Duke's favorite, I know people are going to be like, well, you know, I like it. All right, so that's the college football playoff plays and guarantees that I like. Here's the parlay that I like. Now, these odds are by DraftKings, by the way. I forgot to say that at the beginning. All right. Here's the parlay I like. I like Georgia, Alabama money lines. I like Georgia and Alabama money lines. I think they knock Texas and Oklahoma out. And I like the over in Notre Dame Pitt. That's the 3-1. That's the 3-leg parlay I like. Now, again, bet responsibly, please. All right? These are my picks. So, bet responsibly. All right? That's what my one forewarning is, because, you know, I give you what I like, but I also ask you, you know, to bet what you like and bet responsibly. So, just got to put that FYI out there. But that's the 3-leg parlay I like this weekend for college football. Now let's go briefly to the rankings, because the only gripe I have, the main one I have, and I tweeted about this. How in the world is Miami at 15 when you're the 6th team according to the ACC standings after this week's rankings? What? Okay, is Miami the best roster-wise in the ACC based on the eye test? Yes, but you know what Mario Cristobal does. You know what he does. He chokes. He's a choking artist when it comes to late in the season. It's right on cue. They choked SMU. They choked against Louisville. 14-point fucking favorites. Louisville, who's ahead of them in the ACC, is ranked behind them. How? How? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Miami lost to Louisville in Miami as a 14-point favorite when they were number 2 in the country. And yet Louisville's behind them because what? They're going by Miami as a better team? What? Bro, I know Louisville would probably get killed by a Georgia or an Ole Miss or Texas Tech. According to Vegas, I get it. But come on, man. Like, no. Louisville is having a better year in the ACC. Better win-loss record in the conference. They beat Miami head-to-head. How in the world is Miami ranked ahead of them? Oh, because if Notre Dame loses and Miami's got the head-to-head over them. Well, you're banking on Notre Dame to lose. No. Louisville, who's ahead of you in the ACC, should be ahead of Miami. That is the biggest fucking gripe I have with the rankings. They're going by too much of, oh, well, if Vegas picked the point spread, Miami's got a better names and shit. You lost to Louisville on a Friday night where you were fucking 14-point favorites, and you're 6th in the ACC. Louisville's ahead of them in the ACC right now. Why isn't Louisville ahead of Miami? Why? Your only losses to Virginia, which I get Virginia didn't look good against Wake Forest, and then I don't know how Virginia's ranked high in the ACC. They lost 2 games in ACC play. That has to be updated. I don't know who the fuck is sleeping on the stats over with the standings at ESPN or whoever's in charge of that. How in the hell is Virginia fucking still number 1 in the ACC? They lost 2 conference games. That has to be updated. That's a fucking joke, number 1. Number 2, if you're Utah, you got to be big Cincinnati fans when BYU goes to play them. Because BYU loses, you got another shot at Texas Tech. And that is a big game as far as you need Cincinnati to upset BYU to have a shot at the Big 12 champ game. If you're Utah. Now, Vandy, I said if you're Vandy, you're in a great spot because Oklahoma and Texas have 2 tough games to end the year in the regular season. If they lose one, both of those teams, you're still in it. Now, I know people are really speculating, is Texas going to be in with 3 losses? No, they shouldn't be in with 3 losses. You lost to Florida, who fired Billy Napier in Florida. Oh, well, the Swamp's a tough place to play. Oh, but we lost to number 1 in number 1's park. If you lose to Georgia, top 5 team, if you get destroyed, which I don't think they'll get destroyed, but they'll lose. No. That Ohio State game, everybody watched. It was 14-0 most of that game. It was close because they scored late with under 4 minutes to go. But that game was never close. Okay? It was close to 3 quarters, and then Ohio State said, you know what? Time to pull the game away. Right? No, Texas should not be in with 3 losses. They absolutely should not be. I don't care if they lose both to Georgia and Ohio State, 2 top 5 teams. No, you have 3 losses. No. You lost to Florida. And I get it. You beat Vandy. Yes. But Vandy lost to Alabama, and I got the score wrong. I got last year's matchup when I said it last week. So I apologize for the wrong score stat line. Vandy lost by 16 in Bama. I get that's bad. But that's a top 5 team as well. Texas almost botched that game. But it was an onside kick that just went out of bounds, and Vandy was that close to recovering it. And I get they lost. But no, if Vandy has 2 losses, Vandy has a shot, okay? And Vandy lost to Texas when they were ranked, top 20. Texas lost to an unranked Florida. No. And if you lose to Georgia and you lose to A&M, you're definitely out. which I think they will. I think they're going to lose both. But, again, no, Texas should not be in with 3 losses. Now, the ACC, I said it last week. Georgia Tech has got to play Georgia again. That's a big loss, but it won't count against the conference. Georgia Tech, Louisville, I think are going to meet in the ACC championship game. And the fact that one of those two are not in because the committee decides to go put Miami in is a joke. Is a joke. Now, USC, you got 2 games you got to win. Iowa and Oregon to have a real shot. Because if you beat Oregon, Oregon goes down and you can go up big time. Question is, how much do they move you up over Vandy, over Utah? Will it get to that level? I don't know. You definitely should be over Miami. You definitely should be over Miami, in my opinion. But that's 2 weeks down the road. I'm just saying, Michigan, you got a long shot. Because if you, again, the good thing for them is they get Ohio State in the big house. End of the year, after Thanksgiving, we get all that. You got to win out to have a shot. Now, Dave Portnoy, he's delusional. I know. He's a Michigan fan. He's delusional, though. They have to beat Ohio State, and I think Ohio State is ready to kick their ass. And I hate Ohio State, too. I'm not a Michigan fan. I don't like Ohio State. I hope they lose. If I'm being really honest, they're not losing. They're not losing to Michigan. No way. So, Michigan, you got an absolute long shot. I don't think Michigan makes it personally, but I think, like I said, if you're Vandy, if you're Utah, if you're USC, you guys just got to take care of business, and then chaos will happen. It will happen, all right? So, I'm just saying, and USC's got a shot with Oregon next week in Eugene, where that's going to be your game, basically, to prove that you can get in. You knock Oregon out, and you could go in yourselves and make a better case, because you'll have a better head-to-head win. So, again, I think that's really it. And then Utah, again, they need BYU to lose. Could happen. And then the ACC will beat each other up, like I said. And then you're sitting pretty if you're Vandy because you're just waiting on chaos to happen. And that can definitely happen, especially within the top 10. That's my thoughts on the rankings. Let's go into NFL Week 11 where we do have some plays that we like. So starting off with tonight, the Jets travel to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. As I'm wearing the jersey and the game day gear. The Patriots are 12.5-point favorites. Over and under is at 43.5 points. I expect New England to beat the Jets, especially without Garrett Wilson tonight. I expect them to. This is the first time, if New England wins tonight, New England could be above 500 guaranteed for the season. If they win tonight, they'll have a guaranteed above 500 record for the season since 2021. I hope I said that right. Because if they win, they go to 9-2, and then just say, they end up 9-8, which I don't want. Because I obviously want better. But they'll be guaranteed to finish with an above 500 record for the season if they win tonight. First time since 2021. I expect us to win. I think Drake May will continue to improve his MVP candidacy. I hope. But I will say, rivalry games, hopefully they take care of business. I trust Mike Vrabel and company to do that, though. Give me New England to win 31-10 over the Jets, and I think New England will move to 9-2. Let's keep the 1 seed in the rearview mirror, please. Let's put all focus, obviously, on this game tonight, but let's keep the 1 seed and the AFC East Division title in the rearview mirror. Give me the Patriots. Starting off on Sunday, we have a game in Berlin where the Commanders and Dolphins will square off, where Miami is 2.5-point favorites. Over and under is at 47.5. All right, what's my favorite saying? Forget what you saw last week. Now, you guys are like, you're going to take an upset here, Rich? What did I tell you last week with Miami against Buffalo? I told you. Bills' big game against Kansas City. Miami upset them in Miami. They were big favorites early in the year in Buffalo. They didn't cover. Miami played them tough, right? Miami's coming off a mini bye where they got handled, embarrassed by the Ravens, and they beat the fucking Bills. Thank you, Miami, by the way, which was great. I still hate your asses. However, again, Washington, they look awful, okay? They got handled by Seattle. They got handled by the Lions. It's bad. However, Miami, big win. Oh, they beat Buffalo. Are they actually not as worse as we thought? Pump it down just a little bit. Mariota, I know he hasn't looked good, okay? And I know Washington's banged up with McLaurin out, okay? And I know Debo's not 100%. I know they haven't looked good. For some weird reason, something is telling me take Washington with the points and that they're going to upset Miami. Because, again, I know Lattimore's banged up. I know Washington's injured all across the board. I know. We also didn't think Miami would upset Buffalo. I said, though, if you wanted a small play, take the 9.5 with Miami last week with Buffalo. If you wanted a small play. I wouldn't play this game, but I would say this. I would lean Washington with 2.5 because Washington's getting embarrassed lately. They don't look good, and they're banged up. But is Miami really that good? No. And Tua, I get it. This is a team they should win. However, I still think that as long as Washington can keep it close, I think Washington can beat Miami. I mean, Miami, we forget, before they beat Atlanta and before they beat the Bills, they were fucking awful. They were, like, shitty. Okay? Are you that convinced that Miami just is turning the corner and everything, even with firing their GM and trading one of their best edge rushers? No. I like Washington with the 2.5, and I think Washington's going to win by 7. For some reason, I think Tua's going to turn back into the fraud that he is. 23-16, Washington upsets Miami in Berlin, and the chaos will start this weekend with an upset. Plus, weird shit happens overseas. Give me Washington to upset Miami. I'm taking the Commanders to beat the Dolphins. Plus, fuck Miami. I don't like the Dolphins. Except for last week. Thank you for beating the Bills, by the way. Packers travel to MetLife to take on the Giants, where the Packers are 7-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 42.5. For those of you that do not know, Jameis Winston is starting for the Giants against the Packers, and the Giants just fired Brian Daboll because I think they're trying to preserve Dart. They don't want him to get hurt the rest of the year. 4 concussions, though, is severely bad. I hope for his long-term health, I hope he's fine. But here's the thing with this line. This line, number one, smells for a variety of reasons. Number one, Jameis Winston, he's an unpredictable joker card, meaning he could throw for a bunch of yards like he did last year against Denver and light a team up where you're like, oh my God, he actually looks good. But he can also throw 5 interceptions and look like absolute fucking shit, which would not surprise me. Do you see who the Giants have at receiver? Scatterboo's done for the year. Green Bay, their defense is really good. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them offensively. I painfully had to sit through that game, and I am sorry to the fans of this show that I had to wait till Monday night to record following that game. That game was a fucking joke of a game to watch. Even though they are 2 good teams in the NFC, they're not the best 2 teams in the NFC after watching what I watched. Green Bay will win, but they're not going to look pretty doing it. They're going to cover the 7, I think, because I got Green Bay 20-13 on the Giants, because I think Jameis Winston is going to look like shit against this Packers defense, and he's going to throw a bunch of interceptions, and the pass rush of Green Bay is going to get after them because the Giants' O-line is not the greatest either. I like the Packers to win. They'll look ugly doing it, though. I think they'll cover. Packers win 20-13. I will say, Green Bay don't look good lately. And this is going to be another one of those games where they don't look good. But this has to be, at some point, a sense of urgency for this team. Because the last 6 weeks, they have played like shit. Actually, longer than that. They haven't looked good since the fucking Browns game in week 3. But we called 6 weeks because they had the bye and shit. They looked awful. Hopefully for them, they could beat the Giants. But they're going to look ugly doing it because they look like shit. But they beat the Giants 20-13, I believe. I would even say to you this. I would take the under 42.5. I would. Because I just think both of these defenses are pretty good. But Green Bay struggle on offense. Giants, Jameis Winston, he's going to be the fucking shit version, I'm telling you. So I'm going to say for you, lean the under in this game. That's one of my plays, but I think Green Bay covers. Tampa Bay Bucks travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills, where the Bills are 6-point favorites. The over and under just went down as I was talking. It was 48.5. It went down a point. So now it's 47.5. So money's coming on the under. So this game, let me say this. Both teams coming off a tough loss. Bills more embarrassing loss. I want Baker Mayfield to beat Josh Allen so badly because if the Bills continue to lose, and just say we win tonight too, the AFC East is going to look really good for us, which means we get a top 4 playoff seed. Which means if the Bucs beat the Bills, we have a closer shot at the 1 seed. Now, there is a path for the Patriots to get the 1 seed. There is a path. If the Bucs beat the Bills, that path continues to look good for us. Now, in all seriousness though, I don't think the Bucs win. I will be rooting like crazy Sunday for them because I will be watching this game and I will be like cheering crazy for Baker Mayfield because I want the Bills to fucking go on the road in the playoffs. And I would love the home playoff game for us. I would even love the first round bye and the 1 seed. Although I want to focus on 1 week at a time. I hope the Bucs beat the Bills because the further the Bills are from the AFC East, it would make me feel comfortable for the time being. And I think, again, Todd Bowles, very good run defense. Although last week 2 long runs made it not look so good, but it was really on the outside, both of those runs. The Bills, though, surprisingly, are number 1 with the run game, although that probably went down with Miami. I still think Josh Allen takes care of business. They beat Baker Mayfield and company by a field goal. I like the over in this game as well. So now I got it at 48.5. I like the over 27-24. Bills win over the Bucs, and I think it's going to be a really good game. So both quarterbacks I think are going to play well. Not so on Buffalo's defense. Josh Allen I think will have his way with Tampa. Give me the Bills 27-24 against Tampa. Although I am rooting for the Bucs though because I want the Bills to lose and stay away from the AFC East from us. So Bucs will lose though by a field goal, although I will be rooting for them. Texans at Tennessee, where the Texans are 6.5-point favorites. Over and unders listed at 37.5. Is CJ Stroud playing? Because I thought he was still in concussion protocol. That's way too high of a line, even if Davis Mills starts. I know the Titans are bad. I have the Texans winning. It's going to be an under game, 17-10. Because I am not completely sold on the fact that the Texans offensive line is completely fixed. No. CJ Stroud, I think, is still really good. I just think the problems are not on him, per se, with Houston. I like the Texans. If Stroud plays, possibly for Survivor, I don't love it. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't touch him in Survivor. But Texans win 17-10. I'm not even wasting my time on the Titans. I'm not even doing it. So that's that game for you. Bengals travel to Heinz Field to take on the Steelers, where the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 49.5. I would take the over in this game. I would take the over. I don't love it. It's not one of my favorite plays. Pittsburgh has to beat the Bengals. This team, just think of the ramifications if the Bengals swept the Steelers. Without Joe Burrow, mind you. If the Bengals swept the Steelers without Joe Burrow, not only would the Steelers be done as far as the division and the playoffs are concerned. I think they're still done, and they're not winning the division. They're not winning the playoffs. They're not even going as a wild card. But the fact that the division could come down to the fucking Bengals with Joe Burrow not even playing yet and could play in 2 weeks when they play for Thanksgiving in Baltimore, that would be a nightmare scenario because the Steelers right now, their schedule is brutal to end the year. I said it since they had that tough 3-week stretch with the Packers, with the Colts, and the Chargers, and they lost 2 or 3 of those games. The Bengals, meanwhile, if they win, they would be a game back in the division. They would play the Ravens twice and the Ravens twice. And mind you, the Ravens have to play the Steelers twice. It would basically be down to those 2 teams to end the season, and they still got to match up with Cleveland if that division is still close going into the last week of the season, which is very likely a possibility. I am going to take the Steelers to win 30-20 because I do think they cannot afford to get swept by the Bengals. This is one of those games where I think Tomlin is heightening that sense of urgency. I do think they beat the Bengals because I'm not completely sold on the defense being solved after the bye week. No chance. This game was over when they met in Cincinnati. I think it's an over again. I think the Steelers know they can't get swept by this team, knowing the ramifications within the division. However, awful take Owls take will continue to be awful. Once again, they are done. They are not making the playoffs. They're not winning the AFC North. My friend can get mad at me all he wants. He can text me after the show and be like, you are ridiculous for saying that. No. Steelers win 30-20 on the Bengals. The game, I think, will go over. But the same will be said as I said on Monday. They're not making the playoffs as a wild card. Nope. They're not winning the AFC North. They are done. But they win this game, though. So that's what I've got for that game. Chargers travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, where the Chargers are 3-point favorites. Over and under is at 43.5. I'm going to take the Chargers because Travis Hunter's now done for the year for Jacksonville. So he's out. Jaguars look like a team that is surviving with like 1,000 lives, and they blew that game with Houston. And I'm sorry, this team, the only thing that they've got for them is they had the tiebreaker with the Chiefs in the playoff race. But they look like shit. And I think Justin Herbert, John Harbaugh, I trust them more than I do Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, Trevor made me look bad with the fucking best quarterback prospect I've seen with my own two eyes. I have been so wrong on that. Fuck it, I'm going against Trevor. 24-17, Chargers beat the Jaguars. And Justin Herbert and company move to 7-3. Yeah, because they have their bye week, I believe. Yeah, 7-3. If I'm wrong on that, I'll double check myself with the standings. But Chargers win 24-17. Defense heavy game, but Justin Herbert outduels him. Bears travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, where the Vikings are 3-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 40.5. Early in the year, J.J. McCarthy had that crazy fourth quarter in Chicago and start off the Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson era with a loss. Vikings played the Ravens pretty much tough, and then Baltimore opened it up second half. Beat the Lions. However, the Bears inched past the Giants in what was supposed to be 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, and then it became nice. Whoever fucking said that weather report, I'm not saying that you're shit, but what the fuck, man? What the fuck? I actually don't know what the hell that was about. So, I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy again. I don't think the Bears look all that great, if I'm being honest. I don't. I don't think that Caleb Williams is going to be consistent. I think Brian Flores found something in the second half that slowed Caleb Williams down a little bit. I do think some reason they're going to score. 31-24 Vikings. The Vikings will beat the Bears and sweep them in the division. And I think the Bears will go to 6-5 and stop. This team's not making the playoffs. No. I said they had a shot at the wild card, which they do. They're not going to make it because their schedule to end the year is fucking brutal as well. So, no way. They should win this game. They won't, though. Vikings win 31-24. Probably lean the over, too. Panthers travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, where the Falcons are 3.5-point favorites. Over and unders at 42.5. Line smells again in this game. Don't fucking trust either one of these teams. Carolina sold some people at Survivor if they took them with the Saints. I had them as a top 2 pick. I'm sorry for those of you with that pick. That was a horrible pick by me. But I thought they would win, like a lot of other people. Especially since they were home to the Saints, not in New Orleans. That's why you don't trust teams. Atlanta should win this game. They should win this game. Do I expect them to? Yes. Will they? I don't fucking know. Because Bijan Robinson should have went off early in the season. Lost for me in fantasy. Brutal. But if Bijan Robinson can get back to what he was, this is a game hopefully to do it. I like Atlanta to win 26-20. If this game goes to overtime, somebody's winning on a walk-off touchdown. Probably Drake London. 26-20, Atlanta beats Carolina. I think that's going to be a game where Atlanta gets back and right, and Carolina kind of comes back down to earth. Now we get to the goody games. Seattle travels to LA to take on the Rams, where the Rams are 3-point favorites. The over and under is at 48.5. And yes, I read that right. I don't know which game to watch. Between this game and then a game later, Chiefs-Broncos. What do I watch? This is two good games. In my opinion right now, these are the two best teams in the NFC right now playing this Sunday. Sean McVay and company, I've always said to you guys, I'm not betting against them. But I've watched Seattle lately, and I'm going, bro, they look good. This is going to be a fucking game, man, okay? But I'm going to go with the one rule I've said on this show in the last 2 years. I'm not doing it. I'm not going against my rule. Never bet against Sean McVay and company. Rams are the home team. I'm going to take the Rams to outscore Seattle 30-27. This is an over, I believe. I'm taking the Rams to cover. I think this is a great game on Sunday. I'm taking the Rams because I think this offense will score at least. They'll definitely score. I think they can get 30 on Seattle. I do. I think Seattle's going to score on them too because I think the Rams secondary is very suspect a little bit. I know I took them to go to the Super Bowl, and I know I said I would take them to win it. I did. I still think they are, my opinion, the Super Bowl favorite right now as we speak. But I've got the Rams 30-27 on Seattle. They win. High-scoring game. Take the over. And the Rams cover. Niners travel to Arizona to take on the Cardinals, where the Niners are 3-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 40.5. Okay, this is one I don't understand. Arizona got smoked by Seattle. And why is this total fucking 40.5? Why? Because Jacoby Brissett's doing better than Kyler? The Niners' defense is good, but do you really think the Cardinals, without Marvin Harrison Jr., are going to fucking score on this team? Way, way too high of an over and under total. Way too high. Under 40.5. This is one I'm confident in. No way. And I know the Niners are banged up. I know. But the Cardinals don't even have Marvin Harrison Jr. and James Conner. And Jacoby Brissett, you think he's going to score on the Niners with Robert Saleh? No way. No way. Now, the Niners might, even though they're banged up. No way is this game over. No way. Niners win 26-17 on the Cardinals. No way is that over and under. Should be 40.5. This should be lower. I'm taking the under for sure. Niners win. Shanahan has this team hanging on. I think they're still in play for a wild card. I wouldn't rule them out necessarily. I think the Niners win 26-17. They beat the Cardinals. And I think Christian McCaffrey, he'll have his way. Kittle should be back. They're going to be fine. Niners have enough to get by Arizona and score. I trust Shanahan and company to do it and take care of business. Give me the Niners. Ravens travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns, where the Ravens are 7.5-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 39.5 points. Serious question. Who the fuck gave the Browns a primetime game? What the fuck have they done to earn a primetime game? Seriously? Like, have you watched this team this season? What do they deserve a primetime game for at 425? Why? They don't fucking deserve no primetime game. Fucking garbage. They fucking suck. But Baltimore, I told you guys that the one worry I had with them was their defense. It looks like it's taken care of. They should beat Cleveland. Again, I think the Browns, Dylan Gabriel, is going to struggle. I think that the Ravens' offense will be too much for them. Lamar Jackson will get back to what he does. They continue to cruise. Ravens, I said, will win the North. I think they're going to take it from the Steelers. I think they're on their way towards taking it over. They will take over the AFC North. And I guarantee that they will win the AFC North. You could say it from Monday's show. I did it that way. The Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Cleveland Browns 34-13. And I think they win. I think they'll more than cover. And it could go over based on the Ravens' points team total in the game. I got 34-13. Ravens beat the Browns. They could even drop 40 on them. Just saying. Ravens beat the Browns. I'm not even wasting time on this. The Chiefs travel to Mile High to take on the Broncos, where the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 44.5 points. So this moved up a point, because it was 43.5 when I wrote down my plays I liked. All right. Vegas is telling you to take the Chiefs because they saw what I saw with Denver on Thursday night and them looking like shit. But is it a bait game where they're baiting you to take the Chiefs? Is it like that scenario? Because this feels like bait. This is like a mousetrap, okay? Where they're trying to get you and then they get you with the mousetrap. You get what I'm saying, okay? This feels like a bait game where they're trying to tell you bet the Chiefs because of the 3.5 points. I will have to say, though, I do need Denver to lose because I do want the 1 seed. And if Denver and the Colts both lose to the Chiefs in this next 2 weeks, New England might have a real shot to get the 1 seed early, which I would want. However, I didn't mention this on Monday's show. Lance the Spoken's making it very hard for me to root for the fucking Chiefs because that fucking fat fuck won't shut up. He won't shut up. And Buddy fucking is hoping that Mahomes and Kelsey recreate the Brady Gronk video after they beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead in 2018. So he's hoping that Mahomes and Kelsey recreate that video if they were to supposedly beat Drake May in the playoffs, which this is why it's making me hard to fucking root for a team that I despise to the utmost degree when I need them to win because I need the 1 seed. This is fucking shit why. Because these bandwagons are so insufferable even when they fucking lose because they want to say stupid shit up their fucking ass. And this is the fat fuck Lance Spoken's being one of them. And I'm referencing you bandwagons by name if I have to. I can't fucking stand it. All right? I was this close to taking Denver because I want the bandwagons to lose. And my old man was telling me, Rich, you should be actually thinking smart because get the Chiefs out of the way. Because if you get the Chiefs out of the way, you're going to be all right because Denver could lose games with the way they look right now. He's not wrong, but I had my own path to the 1 seed. Okay? And I know this might involve the Chiefs winning possibly with the Colts and Denver. It might. But if the bandwagons were to lose on Sunday and they lost to the Colts, that means they would be 5-6 with 6 games to go. Meaning you still got the Broncos and you still got the Chargers. You get them both at home though. So I would say I'm going to root for you bandwagons. I'm going against Johan again. I'm going against what my old man said because I have my own path for my team to get the 1 seed. I do. I have my own path. I know what he's going to say to me. How could you root for them and shit? We need to knock out the 2 teams challenging the 1 seed. And the Chiefs happen to coincidentally play both of them the next 2 weeks. If Denver and the Colts lose and the New England Patriots win tonight and Cincinnati, they'd be 2 games up. 1 game up. Depending on what happens. And that tells me I got a shot at the 1 seed. With Buffalo and Baltimore after the bye. And again, I need to go in thinking there is a likelihood possibility that this team could still lose games, meaning my Patriots, which can very well happen. I also am making that Denver and the Colts can lose games. So, I said it weeks ago I had to make an olive branch with Kansas City. They lost to Buffalo, which hurt, but Buffalo lost to Miami in the next week, which helped. I am going to root painfully, the Chiefs bandwagons for right now. I think they beat Denver in all seriousness. I do. 23-20, because I think Bo Nix, I don't know if Sean Payton's going to have this thing fixed in 10 days. I think they'll make it close. But I don't think the Chiefs lose 2 straight. I don't think they lose off the bye. I really don't, if I'm being honest. And it pains me to root for you disgusting, nauseating, toxic, delusional bandwagons. It pains me. But I need the 1 seed. And whatever it takes for my team to get the 1 seed and the first round bye, fuck it, I'll take it. If it requires rooting for you, fuck you bandwagons. We're going to root for you. Yoham's going to give me shit in the comments. I don't care. All right, he'll probably call me either tomorrow or Saturday or even Sunday leading up to the game. I don't care. I don't care. I want the 1 seed. I have my own fucking path to it. Chiefs win on a field goal 23-20 against Denver. All right? Or against each other this week. And likely next week. Lions travel to Philly to take on the Eagles, where the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 46.5 points. I'd lean the over because I think the Lions will score on the Eagles. Dan Campbell taking over play calling duties for John Morton. Took him 10 weeks to decide this shit. However, the one worry I have is the Lions offense, to me, they look good against shit teams. Jahmyr Gibbs with Washington. They couldn't even beat the Vikings 2 weeks ago. That was at home. The Eagles, I know their offense hasn't looked pretty, and that was a fucking eyesore of a game to watch. But this team fucking finds ways to win. They do. And I know people are like, well, the refs conspiracy is now going towards the Eagles with this fucking tush-push play. I'm not pushing back on that. I've watched them a little bit, though. They are beatable, though. The problem is, Green Bay's offense looked like shit Monday, and they're on a bad stretch. But even so, the Lions have a team to go do it. I just don't think it's this week. I like the Eagles 27-23. I'm not sold on the Lions' defense either. I think the Eagles can get their offense going. I think they can get it going. I like them to win 27-23 against the Lions. Give me the Eagles to beat the Lions. And I think they're going to still remain the top of the NFC. Monday night, Cowboys travel to take on the Raiders in Las Vegas, where the Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Over and under is at 50.5. Love the over. Take it. I know Geno's ass. Dallas can score though too. I think both of these teams will go over. Brock Bowers hopefully should have a fucking game in fantasy, even though I don't give a shit about my team anymore. That's the only rooting thing I got in this game. Only thing. I'm going to be real with you guys. We will not be doing a Monday night episode. We will be doing Monday during the late morning, early half of the afternoon. Just so you know, I have zero interest in watching this game. Fucking zero interest in this game. I'm not even watching it. Nope. Garbage game. No interest. No thank you. I have this game as a 38-30 Dallas Cowboys win. I think this is an over. I have no interest in this game whatsoever. 38-30 Cowboys win. High scoring game. But in the end, I trust the Cowboys a little more than I do the Raiders. Not watching this game at all. I'm good. But Cowboys win against the Raiders. Let's go to Survivor, because I have one pick that stands above all this week that I love. And I didn't take them in the last pool I would have had. But I lost with the Falcons weeks ago. But I'm not stopping until I get a pick that I like that's wrong. Which I want to take the Eagles that 1 week. That's why I'm still doing it. And I'm doing it for the people that are still alive in pools. I would take the Ravens against Cleveland. If you did not already, I would take the Ravens. I think they destroy the Browns. The Browns suck with Dylan Gabriel or Deshaun Watson or Joe Flacco. They look awful. Give me the Ravens as the top Survivor choice. And then these are teams that, again, if you haven't picked them, I can see why. But also, I think you would have taken them early in the year by now. If you haven't taken New England tonight, I would do that as well. Not saying that because I'm a biased Patriot fan. I just think that's a good spot for them as well. Green Bay against the Giants. I like them. Even though they're struggling, I think they can beat the Giants with all the Giants' injuries and the fact that Jameis is starting. And I think this is a game where they could get right. They would be third, but they could be lower. I wouldn't blame you, though. Then the next two, I wouldn't blame you if you took the Niners. I wouldn't blame you. Because I do think Shanahan and them, if this is a game you want to pick them to win, I like them this game. I do. I would take the Niners in all respect second. I would. But I can also see why they're lower. I like Frisco probably as my second choice. Then it would be like New England, Green Bay, 3, 4. And then because they're on my ban list, I know they're probably going to be on some people's minds. Fuck the Falcons. They're 5th. I would take you off my S tier. You suck. You sold me 2 of my pools. So fuck the Falcons. And they're 5th. So Ravens, Niners, Patriots, Packers, and then the Falcons are dead last. I'm never betting them again. So fuck the Falcons. That's where I'm at right now. Cost me both my pools, by the way. So they're on my ban list. All right. And I told you there's certain teams you just fade. They are on my absolute fade list for sure. Them and the Cowboys are in that club. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. That is all of the Week 12 college football guarantees and picks. And that is all the NFL Week 11 picks and guarantees that I like. You guys can follow us on X at Lounge Time Pod, where if you tweet at me, I will answer questions on the show. You can also hit that subscribe button, that like button, the notification bell on YouTube. We will have episodes Mondays and Thursdays for the most part of the season, unless Thanksgiving, where it's a different week, by the way, heads up. But every Monday and Thursday, we will have an episode up until Thursday Night Football is over. That's when we'll make an adjustment, okay? But that's where you can get all the analysis and the picks that you need going into this NFL season. You can also follow us on Rumble, where, yes, we're on Rumble, and we're looking to build a community over there. We've got 2 subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to the channel on Rumble, and we welcome you to the Lounge Time family. We're looking to continue to grow. We can't do without you guys. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys Monday to recap all the NFL action and college football. And I'll see you guys then.